Well, good morning, TEPSA. Thanks for joining us for another adventure in talking about how to make a difference for kids, politically speaking. Right now we're driving in my hometown of Southlake, where I was a principal for many years, and we're going to visit my legislator, and we're going to talk about how we developed a relationship when I was a principal. We didn't know each other when he first got elected, and we'll talk about how that relationship was developed. Come on in, let's go meet my representative.
Hey.
Well, hey, Representative, how are you?
Good, how have you been?
It's good to see you.
All right,
Hey,
awesome.
looks like it's your office, huh?
Yeah, we just moved in here a little while ago, and we had a flood, and so things are a little bit messy, so I apologize for that.
That happens. That happens.
But
So,
we do have one good office. If you follow
okay, let's go. Well, good morning, Representative
Good
Creedale.
morning.
Thank you for joining thousands of principals since we watched this video on how to make a positive relationship with your legislator. Why don't you give us just a brief introduction to yourself, including why you ran for office?
Sure. Well, nice seeing you again, Mark. I appreciate the opportunity to be part of this. I have been married for 17 years. I have 3 daughters. They're all go to public schools here in the district. They're Dragons, so go Dragons. I've been a representative since 2013, so I'm just about to get into my 3rd term, finish that up. And lived in the area and just been excited to be part of that.
Great. Well, this series is about developing a positive relationship with your legislator.
Mm-hmm.
Why is it important for a principal to develop that kind of relationship?
Well, I think it's important for principals to be part of that because, I go down to the Capitol, I get to make legislation, work on laws, file bills, look at bills. There's amendments all the time. And so having that communication with the principals helps me decide, quite frankly, what I should be doing down at the Capitol. I serve principals, I serve educators, I serve the constituents, everybody that's in there. And so as we go through and evaluate that, it's nice to have that feedback and that communication.
Right. Well, when you were first elected, we really didn't know each other. And tell me about that, how that all got started, this relationship.
Yeah, and that's great. I mean, you were a principal at Eubanks at the time, and you had reached out to me, you'd given me a phone call, and as someone who had just been elected, I thought that was pretty cool. And so I got a chance to go and meet you for coffee, and we started going over some of the things that I was going to be faced with in the next session. In fact, I remember very well, first of all, because it was one of the first educators or administrators who actually had communicated with me. But I also remember it because we went through some high-level stuff, right, with details, pub ed financing, curriculum, how the money flows. That was all important to me to get that kind of primer on what I was going to be facing very soon.
Right. What are some other ways that an educator can develop a positive relationship with their legislator?
Sure, that's great. There are a lot of different ways that I've been able to go and create that relationship. One of the things that's been incredibly helpful for me was when I get a chance to tour through schools. Right. Be able to go and visit the different school districts, but also the different grade levels and see school in action. Another way that we've been doing that, of course, is not just coffees, but meetings before, after, during, after hours. I have a pretty good relationship with our superintendents and our principals. Text me anytime, want to say, hey, come meet up afterwards. Let's just go and discuss some of these issues. But of course, you can always contact my office as well.
Well, a lot of our younger principals use social media a great deal. Is there a way to impact that relationship through social media?
Oh yeah, I'll tell you just a really quick story where a principal in a school district here, there had been a school council race, right? And some kids had won, and they had tagged me in the tweet. So I went down and I gave them certificates right after their election, right?
Cool.
So it's really easy for people through social media to be able to communicate. There's a lot of great things going on in schools, too, right? And so if I'm in Austin, I do want to know about that kind of stuff, and I think everyone should be able to promote all the good things that are going on in our public schools.
That's cool. Well, Representative, we don't always agree on everything. So, as a principal, why would it matter for me to tell you my story?
Sure, I think it's important. But first of all, my wife and I don't agree on every vote. I have now taken just over 7,000 votes, right? But it is important because it gives me an opportunity to go and look at the full, complete information before I make my decisions, right? And if there's pieces missing to that, then that kind of hurts my ability to go and make the right decision. So it's important for principals to be able to come down to the Capitol, to call me, visit me, so that I can see, hey, you know what, Gio, have you looked at this? Have you looked at that? And at the end of the day, you're right, we may not always agree, but what I've been able to do and other legislators do is they're looking for that information so that we can make the best decision possible.
Right. When somebody comes to visit you, do you have any idea of, like, did they vote?
Oh yeah. So one of the things that a lot of people will say is a cliche almost, which is you can't complain if you don't vote. But obviously we don't know who anybody is voting for.
Right.
But what we do have, and everybody has access to, is a list of who votes and in which elections. So when someone comes into my office, I can see, and it's public information, I can see if you have voted or not. And it's important for me is when I work for my constituents, of course I have to focus on people who are making that effort to go and vote. And so yeah, I think it's important for people to vote and know that people know if you're voting.
There you have it. Your legislators need to hear from you. To see what's going on in your school, in order for your school story to have maximum impact, you need to develop a positive relationship with your elected officials. They're regular folks who most often want to do what's best for their constituents. But if they don't know you, they won't know your school community's needs or your students' needs. Let's do this. Pick up the phone and invite your legislator to coffee today. Make those positive connections that will make a difference for kids, politically speaking. Join us next week as we go with your colleagues to visit the Capitol office of one of your state representatives.